Phoenix, Arizona, the venue for the second of 22-round NHRA drag racing series. It's the Atsco Nationals. We'll be looking at the pro stockers, at the funny cars, and of course at the top fuel rails. Joe Amato, fastest of the qualifiers, but King Kenny Bernstein didn't make it through qualifying. Larry Dixon, 9 times a winner in the NHRA, twice a winner here at Phoenix, is 9th in the qualification. He won last time out at Pomona. So let's start with Larry Dixon and with the top fuel rails. Dixon in the right-hand near lane to the camera, Mike Dunn in the far lane. Some concern over the state of the left lane after qualifying. Didn't seem to worry Dunn. Great RT, and Dunn winning it in style as Dixon smokes them up just yards off the concrete start strip and onto the main drag tarmac. So first blood then in the first round to Mike Dunn. Gary Skelsey in the right lane, Bob Vandergriff in perhaps the jinxed left lane. Let's see how Vandergriff handles this one. Good start from Vandergriff, good start as well from Skelsey. Too close to call by the eye, and a 4.5 foot victory. 3:02.52 versus 3:07.48. Both of them very quick indeed as Skelsey wins that. Joe Amato nearest camera, Ron Smith far side. Joe Amato, of course, 5 times NHRA champion. And Amato blasts away as Smith smokes him up 100 feet into the run. And Amato comes up 0.06 of a second short of his own national speed record at 4:5.70. Doug Kalita versus Eddie Hill. Kalita gets away nicely, Hill blows, and Kalita takes his first NHRA round win with a 4:7.27 and a 3:09 mile-an-hour pass. Quick stuff from Doug Kalita. Top 16 qualifiers in the funny cars. Al Hoffman's on a 4:99 ET, looking very quick indeed. But we'll look at the third fastest man here, Cruz Pedregan versus Jerry Tolliver in the first of our first round runs. So Cruz Pedregan with the third quickest time. Brother Tony only 12th quickest. Cruz, the man in form here. Here he is in the Interstate Batteries machine. Jerry Tolliver on the far side. Both of them into stage. Full set of lights, away they go. Great launch by Cruz Pedregan. Tolliver getting away very slowly. Pedregan wins it, but with a 4:9.66 run, not as quick as qualifying. 5.152 for Jerry Tolliver, his career fastest, incidentally. John Force nearest us in the Castrol GTX machine. Randy Anderson on the far side. Both in stage. Great response from Force, manages to hold it straight as he smokes them up, but Force will lose. Randy Anderson holds on there. Very slow RT, 6:57, but he managed to pull back. Force, incidentally, 222 miles an hour, his terminal speed, against 190 for the winner. Whit Bazemore versus Tom Hoover nearest us. Not a quick getaway from either man. Close race. Whit Bazemore wins it, 5:069 and 308.64 miles an hour. So into the pro stocks then. Here are the top 16 qualifiers, and Warren Johnson, 6:9.64, just 0.03 quicker than Jim Yates on the qualifying runs. Jed Coughlin looking so good last weekend, only 14th fastest qualifier here. So we'll look at Mark Powick in the near lane versus Bobby Grant, and Powick the cowboy. Away they go. Good launch by Grant, holding on to it. Powick getting squirrely now. Grant losing cylinders, and Powick wins it. 7:5.52 and 162 miles an hour. 4:53 response time for the loser Grant, though. Quick getaway. Let's have a look at Pete Williams versus George Marnell in the nearest lane to us. Very even getaway for both of them. 5:16 for Williams, 5:10 for Marnell. And too close to call. 7:053 versus 7:073. Just 0.02 of a second in it. And Williams winning that one. Jed Coughlin Jr., there we are. We saw him qualifying in 12th place here against Troy Coughlin. And the left lane, obviously not a handicap here at all. Jeg goes on to beat Troy, 4:35 RT. Troy away at 4:76, and a 6:997 versus 7:085 elapsed time. Troy Coughlin winning through comfortably. Warren Johnson versus Tom Martino. Good launch by both men. Martino just slightly quicker away, but Johnson gets the nod. 197.88 miles an hour. Martino crossing the line at 194 miles an hour. So moving on back then to the rails. Doug Kalita has choice of lane. He takes the right-hand lane nearest us versus Jim Head. But Kalita drops cylinders halfway down the run, and Jim Head now with that victory moves into the points lead. Dave Grubnick swaps lanes to go into the right-hand lane, leaving Gary Scalzi away in the left-hand side, and Grubnick loses it right from the start, smokes him up off the concrete, detonates the engine, and Gary Scalzi the comfortable winner then. Doug Herbert versus Corey McLenithan, the Big Mac rail nearest us in that more favoured right-hand lane once more. Good launch from both men. Just a tenth of a second between them. And McLenithan takes it 319 miles an hour and a 4.613 to beat out Doug Herbert. Joe Amato nearest us, and Mike Dunn on the far side. Good launch from both men. Dunn seemed to get away quicker. In fact, 4.72 response time from Amato, 4.73 from Dunn. Amato winning by 0.3 of a second in the end. Randy Anderson versus near us Cruz Pedregan. And Pedregan very much the favourite, but look at the way Anderson storms up the strip. Randy Anderson, big upset there, beating Cruz Pedregan in the Interstate Batteries machine. And those numbers, 5.040, 308 miles an hour. Tom Wilkerson near the camera, Dean Scusa on the far side. Scusa gets away quickly, and Wilkerson blows. So Dean Scusa wins, and 307.79 miles an hour, a very quick pass for the Matco Tools machine. Al Hoffman away from us, Ron Capps in the Copenhagen car nearest the camera. Both in stage, full set of lights, away they go. Capps smokes them up, oh dear. Ron Capps wins it though. Hoffman really got out of shape midway down the strip. Capps recovered nicely to take victory. Whit Bazemore, left-hand lane as we look at it. Chuck Etchells, left-hand lane as they look at it on our right. These two are very even drag race, both get away nicely. But Etchells winning it. Lots of smoke coming from the left-hand bank of cylinders. That spells trouble for the mechanics, but Etchells wins through. Second round of the Pro Stock. Pete Williams and Kurt Johnson, both Camaros in this semi, so one will be eliminated. Very close run indeed. Excellent win for Pete Williams. Jim Yates and Steve Schmidt. Yates nearest us. And with one Chevy Camaro already out of it, let's see how the other one does. Yates gets away slowly, but he pulls it back as they hurtle down the strip. Jim Yates wins it 4.93, though he's going to have to improve response times like that to make it through to the final. So Jed Coughlin, we saw him win in the first round, now up against Mark Osborne away from the camera. And a very close drag race. Jed Coughlin loses it, Mark Osborne wins. 4.28 his response time, 4.49 Jed Coughlin, and that's really where it went away from him. Warren Johnson versus Mark Powick. Warren Johnson taking his time coming into stage. Now they go. And Powick gets a great start, really loses it. And the Summit machine snaking all over the track as Warren Johnson sees victory come his way. Into the final four then, Warren Johnson again, Pete Williams nearest the camera. Warren Johnson under pressure from Pete Williams, but Johnson got the better of the starts there and Williams never catches him. 4:47 RT, much better getaway from Warren Johnson and a good pass at a 6:9.88. Jim Yates and Mark Osborne in the other semi. This should be a tight one. Yates nearest us, Osborne on the far side. And that looked as close a getaway as you can ask for. Very, very close race indeed. Oh, Jim Yates just pipping him at the wire there. 7:007 seconds to 7:054. So, Jim Yates going through against Warren Johnson. Away go Dean Scusa, just a flash of the onboard camera there. Ron Capps though, despite blowing at the end, taking that one. Some sort of problems there for Dean Scusa, and that's eliminated him. Chuck Etchells nearest us, Randy Anderson on the far side. This is the second funny car semi. And a dreadful, dreadful start on the far side. Chuck Etchells, we saw that flash as he launched there from the onboard camera. It looks rough enough when you get a good start. So the final four for the top fuelers. Joe Amato taking the right-hand lane. He had choice of lanes, leaving Jim Head on the far side there in the left lane. Jim Head comes into this lineup as the points leader. Oh, gets a slow getaway, it looked like, but Amato's in trouble. Both banks let go. Jim Head seems to have problems on the left bank as well, but wins that one. In fact, 4:70, his response time exactly identical to the 1,000th to Joe Amato's, but Head winning it by 600ths of a second on the ET. Corey McLenathan nearest the camera, Gary Skelsey on the far side. McLenathan looked in form last week and again takes it through into the final, the Big Mac rail, with a 291 mile-an-hour pass. Well, he'll have to improve. Jim Head winning with a 3:03 in his semi. Pro Stock final then. This is it for the Stockers. Jim Yates, Warren Johnson. Yates with the lane choice, checking both of them out before the start. This is very, very important stuff for him. Good launch on the far side by Warren Johnson. Yates not so quickly away. Yates has made up ground in his previous runs, but not this time. So Warren Johnson with a 4:30 response time to 4:52 of Jim Yates wins it. 6:974, 197.49 miles an hour. Warren Johnson in the Goodwrench Chevy gets the green light and wins his first Atsco Nationals. So Warren Johnson closes on points leader Jim Yates, the runner-up here. And that's the way they finished in Pro Stock. Chuck Etchells in burnout mode. And up against him in the funny car final, Ron Capps. Big, big burnout for Ron Capps. He's got the left lane and he wants to make sure that the car is as ready to go as possible. So Ron Capps' wife and daughter we've just seen watching from the far end. Chuck Etchells nearest the camera, Ron Capps. Both of them taking a long time to stage. Now they go. And very broken up on board there from Chuck Etchells. But it doesn't matter what the camera says. Chuck Etchells wins. Slow response time, 0.529. But a 4.944 pass, you can't argue with those numbers. 312 miles an hour. And Ron Capps, well, he lost traction around 300 feet up the strip and just couldn't get it back together. Let's hear now from the funny car winner.
You know, I don't know how to do this interview, quite frankly.
Out of practice?
Well, no, I've got all these new sponsors, right? I hate to commercialize stuff.
Here we go.
Help me out with it.
Go.
You know, I've had Kendall with me forever. Love him, Super Win, same thing. Now we got Mama Rose's coming on. Auto Vent Shade, Mighty Auto Parts, Snap-on Tools. I'm not doing that again this year.
So, we should all have those problems. Chuck Etchells winning round 2 here and closing again on Ron Capps, the defeated finalist, but the points leader after winning last time out at Pomona. Into the rails then, and for the first time in 10 years, John Force out of the top 10. Corey McLenithan, we've just seen him, and Jim Head coming to the lights for the finals. The close call machine in the left-hand lane. The right-hand lane still seems to be the more favoured. McLenithan had choice, but it hasn't always been the winning lane here. Away they go. Pretty even start, but Corey McLenithan nails